Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be in this wonderful world of ours. We're here once again for our weekly chat with Trina Paulus. My name is Scott, and every week things happen, and every week um, we want to be able to join you. Trina Paulus, as you may know, probably know if you're tuning in here, because it's shown live over the Facebook page that Trina has, Hope for the Flowers Revolution, and also her YouTube channel. And every week, Trina reflects on art and spirituality and the human condition, and it is my privilege to pass the mantle on over to you this week, Trina, to hear what you have to say once again.
Thank you, Scott. And it remains a very sobering time as we see violence in so many places, just violence so many places, and our role in it as Americans that are funding and supporting it so many places in so many ways, subtle and unsubtle, and sometimes hidden from obvious view. And so many people are suffering in all sides of this sort of thing, and so much death is occurring and suffering. I'm thinking, of course, of the people of Gaza and the people of Israel who are mourning lost ones and are trying to deal with anger and hate in their hearts and move it toward love. And the people in Gaza, and I'm thinking of those mothers who are with their children, not knowing if they're going to be alive from 1 hour to the other, and 12.5 million people with no place really to go. And how we stop this kind of stuff, I don't know. And the problem of the Ukraine still goes on. So thank you, Scott, for enabling this kind of little message to go out. So I'm feeling very sober this week, and the need of human beings in my own life who need a great deal of support, and the realism by which we have to look at our own small needs and take care of those so that they don't grow into big needs in our own life, and the way that the society either nurtures us or doesn't nurture us. And these are complicated things in everyone's life. And I think Scott, to play that short little edit that you made of this, my Abraham statue, which I have here to show too, but I think the video that you edited shows this, because why I'm interested in Abraham, it's been a year of my life, plus another earlier time when I made a smaller one that I have here next to me. I spent a whole year making a 6.5-foot one that's going to be in the video, because the Abrahamic religions are so strong, and so are all the religions. Diwali, which is celebrating, I think, today, and around the whole world, every religion is broadcasts about love. And yet, certainly our three Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, have all had swords in their other hands. And this statue has that, showing the relationship of the Father and the Son, and the hand around, the hand of love, and then the hand with the knife in the other hand. And we still are sending our children off to war with knives in our other hands, often with good words and causes that we think are worth the lives of them and other people. So I don't know how much we've changed, and we have to come to a sharing. So that's why the new name of this whole series is Radical Sharing, Freely Chosen, because we have to freely choose it. We can't let the pressures of unbridled capitalism or the pressures of a controlling communism really work. We need to freely choose to give our lives for others and to give ourselves to the other needs of others, and then we'll be fed by that. We'll be like the butterflies once we become butterflies who carry the love of one flower to the other and can drink of their sweet nectar. I'm just so grateful for the message of hope for the flowers. It seems so apt to all of these needs. So Scott, maybe this is the time to roll that little
Sure.
message that you did. And thank you for editing it. Thank you.
Sure. Here we go.
Over here, you'll see a hand with the knife in it. And here you'll see the with his son. And the mystery of this relationship, I can show you the picture that I pulled out of just the two heads looking at each other. The Muslims have put a great emphasis also on Isaac's willingness to be sacrificed. I've done a lot of thinking about this over the years, and a lot of thinking about the great Christian mystery of the crucifixion and resurrection, and that the very unpleasant thing that God can ask everything of us sometimes, which is so hard to deal with. And the whole mystery of why we die and why we sometimes die so miserably and what that's supposed to mean. There's no easy answers to a thing like this. I like to think that this is the last time, and the whole fact that he didn't sacrifice his son, and that a substitute was substituted then, that this is the last time that human sacrifice was possibly asked for, not that it was blessed. But it's a total mystery there, how somebody could be willing to sacrifice their son. But I know that this was common in history, that early history, that people did sacrifice their firstborn son and everything. It was first modeled in clay, and then sections were sawed off when I was basically finished. Before I put some of the details on, sawed off the back, sawed off the bottom. And I have a wonderful slide of my mother and father. They were very supportive all my life, and they came and we pulled all the clay out of this. So in spite of how big it is, it's movable.
I'm looking at the face of the father and how much he loves the son, and he knows what he's about to do.
I like to think that with Jesus and the cosmic Christ, which we have now throughout our life, and what we're supposed to be, Gerard Manley Hopkins, Christ plays in 10,000 places, lovely in limbs and eyes not his, to the Father, through the features of men's faces. That's the Father and the Son relationship that I think we need to have. We are Christ today. There is no Jesus walking on earth. It's the Spirit of God that fills us, and we're to be the loving representatives. And I don't see how war and violence and taking advantage over others is reflective of any of that.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks, Scott. The part that isn't there right now, I should say something about, because this statue was first made in clay, about 3 tons worth of clay. And then I buttered over all but the faces. I made casts and plaster casts and cast this in. But I put big layer of, like frosting a cake, of polyester resin on it. And that's what we sawed off. And then we could glue that back on. We could saw it off in sections and pull the clay out, because we couldn't haul that big thing around with 3 tons. So it wasn't just 3 tons of clay, and sawed off clay. So that's my image that Kierkegaard too wrote this book called Fear and Trembling, about 6 interpretations of this mystery. And it is the central mystery. It's the central mystery when Muslims go to Mecca each year and up the mountain where this was supposed to have happened. So all these stories, whether they are actually exactly historically true, it's not so important. It's what they mean, and what they mean for people, and how they have affected whole histories of peoples, and to affect them still today, even in our own time. These mysteries that we talk about, that's what's important. And I want to emphasize the importance today of saying yes to God in whatever way we're asked. And I thought to bring forth a couple of my own things. This was from a marble piece that I held back and forth during my New York period when I had a chance. I lived in Brooklyn, and it was, you can see the shape of the marble piece that I worked with. I did this at the New School with Jose de Kreft, this wonderful artist whose work is in the Museum of Modern Art. And he just wanted you to cut off enough to let the image that was meant to be in the stone emerge. So this is called prayer. And it just is open and surrendered to God. So that's my only marble statue. And the original is missing right now. We hope to find it again and get it back. And I have another one here. This is called Adsum. Let's see. It's not, I don't have the best background to show this. This is a simple young girl. It can be considered Mary, or it can be considered any of us, because before God, we're all meant to be surrendered and then turn around. And like that poem of Hopkins that I said, be this lovely person representing God's work in the world, in our sharing, in our love, and our attitudes. And so, certainly very much against violence. And so, this is the spirituality I want to stand with my life, and appreciate anybody else who tries to work within that full. And I think that we would have a kaleidoscope of butterflies if enough of us did that. And we have to try. We have to try to at least be that ourselves. So that's my basic message, to become that butterfly self, to say yes, to stop crawling over others and say yes to the cocoon, and yes to becoming this butterfly that will carry that love from flower to flower, and realize that each flower that you meet in your life has a beautiful nectar to give you and keep you alive. And that's the way it is. And I'm really very fond of a couple of people that I feel carry this kind of message pretty well. One is Gary Knoll, that I've mentioned before, and today he was speaking on his program at Progressive Radio Network, PRN.live, at noon. He was, and you can still get it online all the time, about how his study of people that lived a long time, and their secret was to be happy, curious, eat like a simple Mediterranean diet, but being happy was 45% of it, and being curious and alive and interested in others. And that's a beautiful message. And the other person I'm finding has a really spiritual, interesting approach to things, and himself reflects a certain fragility of reality, who's celebrating his 20 years, yes, of sobriety, is Russell Brand, who it works for community. His whole theme is working for community. And so I'm part of that community, besides a bunch of smaller ones. But these are people that have a spirituality built in right now that Russell is using in face of this whole war situation, and helps us with meditation and yoga and other things besides his political discussions. And I bet I'm really finished with the time today, right, Scott? Is it almost time?
Yes, we're at 14 and a half minutes into it, and it's supposed to be about 15 minutes in length, but we can have it whatever time that we like. I'd like you to know that there were five people who are watching. So we very much appreciate those who are watching live, and look forward to comments from people who might be watching this either on Facebook or YouTube. You can always get a hold of Trina with your thoughts and comments at hopefortheflowers.com. Do you have any final thoughts?
Yes,
Trina?
I think that just thank you for being on, who are. And we have purposely not made a big promotion of this. We're still figuring out what it's for, where we're trying to go, and what we can do. And we invite people to see if they have a role to join us as we try to figure this out, and how to use the worldwide influence of Hope for the Flowers toward good, toward peace, and toward justice in this world. And so thank you for being part of this movement, however you can do it. And it's not, I don't care if it's with my group or you find another group, but find a community, or two or three that you can join with and work for peace and unity and love.